Welcome back to the channel, guys. Today we're going to start the rebuild process on the old Neon here from the last time we broke that track. Pretty sure it's a transmission related issue, so we're going to go ahead and drop the gear set, probably take out the transmission as well, make sure the clutch is still good, still in alignment, and we'll go from there. So let's get to it. So 32 millimeter socket for the axle nut and 21 millimeter socket for the shock tower bolt. Next thing I'm going to do is take this shift selector plate off, which is isn't too bad. It's just a couple 13 millimeter bolts. If you do not have the ABS delete kit, the ABS modular here in the way, so you're going to have to lower the transmission down a little bit before you do this. But if you do got that kit, you can just go ahead and take them bolts out and take the plate off without having to lower the transmission, which you're going to have to lower the transmission either way. But if you were just going to just replace the shift selector, you wouldn't have to if you got the ABS delete. So I'm going to go ahead and take this shift selector plate off, and that way I can go ahead and start taking out the gear set. It's just 7 13 millimeter bolts that you have to take out. Well, 6 if you cut out that that one that's under this shifter right here. It's a pain in the ass. And after that, all you have to do is just pull it out the way. You don't have to remove it completely, just enough so the gear set won't get caught up on the shift selector there. And now we can start taking the gear set out. As you can see, I went ahead and removed the intake manifold, radiator, throttle body, cold side pipe, charge pipe, all that, radiator, only because I'm going to remove the whole transmission. If you're just going to remove the gear set, you don't have to do any of this. All you have to do is unbolt the transmission mount and lower it a little bit so you can get to the bolts on the side. I believe that's usually 18 millimeter bolt, but I got these Allen head bolts from Modern Performance, which is 3/8. So take that out. And now you can lower the transmission so you can get to the other transmission bolts. Now we can go ahead and get the bolts off this end plate. They're usually a T40 Torx head bolts, but I've replaced all of them except for this one, because this one, the tire seems to hit around this spot if I turn too hard, and I don't want the tire to end up popping with these square head bolts. So I left this one as the only Torx head bolt in there. The rest of them I replaced because these Torx bolts end up stripping a lot, so I replaced them with regular bolts. So let's go ahead and get them out. I want to be very careful taking this out. Make sure you take it out as straight as possible so you don't damage these little oiling hose there. Now this is going to be the fun part, trying to get these snap rings out of here. It's going to take a little playing around with them, but eventually you'll get them. There's 2. They can be a little bit of a pain in the ass, but just play around with them and you'll get them eventually. Now we can go ahead and remove the 13 millimeter bolts from the inner cover. there we go, gear set is out, and probably seen it when I was pulling it out, but the input shaft is most definitely broke. Not looking great. Looks like there's quite a little bit of metal particles in there, so we're gonna have to check that out, see why, see if it was just the input shaft that let go. As you can see, there's a little bit of metal particles in there. We'll have to inspect the whole gear set, make sure nothing else is broke in there. But as you can see, the input shaft broke and is out of alignment, so this transmission is gonna have to come down either way, which is what I was planning on doing anyways. Poor little guy. I don't know how you made it this long, but you were a trooper. You made it. You made it through a lot of high horsepower launches. This thing owes me nothing. I guess it's time to drop the rest of the trans and see where we'll go from there. Upon taking the input shaft apart, I came across the DCR third gear triple carbon, whatever the hell, snap ring completely destroyed. I bought this when I first got into the SRT4 world. Before I knew most of DCR's products are pretty much garbage, and it ended up completely destroying the third, fourth gear synchronizer hub, and ended up having to replace it. Thankfully, my buddy Jared Dale had one laying around that I was able to get from him, so I could put my input shaft back together and get the car rolling again. As you can see, this is what it should look like instead of that crumpled up mess it is. I got the gear set swapped over to the other input shaft. Got this input shaft from my buddy. Want to give a huge shout out to Brandon Lee for letting me get this pretty great condition input shaft, and to Jared Dale for getting it to me so fast. So now that I got everything swapped, got all the gears swapped over to the new input shaft, time to put it back in the car. I know this input shaft isn't gonna last long, but I have a tune date coming up real quick, so it was the easiest way to get this car back running. After I get it off the dyno, probably by the end of the year, I'll be switching over to a billet input shaft to make sure this doesn't happen anymore. So let's get to it. As you can see, there's the rest of the input shaft, and it completely threw the clutch disc out of alignment, so I'm going to have to take the pressure plate out and realign that clutch disc real quick before we put the transmission and gear set back in there. Upon taking apart the pressure plate, I started to look at the clutch disc, and as you can see, it tore chunks of the clutch material right off. So yeah, this is not going to be usable at all. So, but luckily I had this used one laying around that I replaced, well, just because I wanted to replace it with a brand new one at the time of replacement. So I'm just gonna throw this one in and send it. There's nothing wrong with it. Like I said, at the time I wanted to replace with the new clutch disc, which was this one, but now it's messed up, so I'm gonna go back to using the old one. Got that all back lined up, put a little bit of blue Loctite on the bolts, torqued them down to 30 foot-pounds. Time to put the transmission back on. Finally got the trans back in. It was real pain in the ass this time. I don't know, I was just tired, and it just made it a lot more difficult. But now, time to go ahead and put the gear set in so we can start working on other stuff, because we got a lot left to do before the tune date. Still got to take the head off, take the log manifold off, replace that with a tubular one, put the put the ported head on, put everything back together, test it, make sure everything's running right before November 7th, I believe. So we'll see how that goes. As you can see, I got the gear set put back into the transmission. Got the motor mount put back on it. Put the selector plate on. Everything's good to go. You're supposed to use anaerobic sealant on the shifter plate and also on the transmission box there, but I've had a lot of issues with it leaking, and I don't want to take this gear set or this plate back off because of it leaking, so I went ahead and put some Honda Bond on there. As long as you don't put too much on there, it'll be alright. Just don't go overboard with it. But I've never had a problem with it, so anaerobic sealant is what you're supposed to use, but I use a little bit of Honda Bond and it seems to work out for me. Just have to finish putting the shifter cables back on and the starter, and I'll be done with this transmission job. And that'll be it for this video. On the next video, I'll be removing the head and the lock manifold to get ready for the new ported head and tubular manifold I got. So make sure to stay tuned for that, and we'll see you next time. And don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe.